this time is the
Hey, give me this.
December 2nd, 2014 special meeting regarding our budget. Mr. Clerk, we'll have the roll call.
Dominic, Johnson,
Present.
Williams, Lynn, Bowman,
Present.
Baker, Lynch, Escaday, Thibodeau, Cox, Smith, and Epperson.
Okay.
We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Due to the fact that this is an important meeting that we have each and every year, I'm going to rely on my number one prayer goddess, Commissioner Baker, to lead us in a prayer today. And Commissioner Escaday, if you can give us the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll all rise, please.
Please bow your heads. Father, we thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for this opportunity. We pray and ask that you would touch our hearts and our minds. Put us on one accord to make the right decision today for your people. We thank you, we praise you, we lift you up, we magnify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag, render the proper address, and say along with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our next item is agenda additions. Do we have any agenda additions? I see none. At this time, we'll move to citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the foyer and return it to myself or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. I do have 3 comment cards at this time, and we will proceed with those. The first one is Keith Hansen.
Yes.
Keith, present. Can you give us your name and address?
Yes.
Go ahead.
My name is Keith Hansen. I live at 3330 Alexander Avenue, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't be going first, but get the jitters out of the way. But first, I wanted to say thank you for letting me talk to you guys today. Cohab and thus Twin Engine Labs would not be here without your support. Twin Engine Labs started at Cohab out of their offices. We started with 2 desks and quickly grew to 5, and then took up their whole second floor during our second year of business. Because of that growth, we've been in operation for 4 years. We have made close to $4 million in top-line revenue, and have largely reinvested that money right back into our company. I say that because that money is creating real jobs here in our area. They're buying houses. My employees are. They're giving back to our community. We are huge supporters of all of the philanthropic things that need to happen here to really cultivate that entrepreneurial ecosystem. And 4 years ago, this did not exist. This system that we have in place that's forming, and the Startup Prize, Cohab, the EAP, all of these things are really now, I'm seeing, coming to fruition. I'll tell you, if we had this then, when I started, we'd probably be even bigger now. So I'll give you some specifics soon about how Cohab really helped us in the early days, but just to give you an idea of what Twin Engine does, we create mobile applications for businesses and startups. We have done nationally recognized work. The first app we ever built was for Moonbot Studios and went on to international acclaim, and grossed into the hundreds of thousands in the first year of being sold. We did that without any real tools or any real mature ecosystem in place at that time. So we prided ourselves on how innovative we've been. We've done local work as well with Red Ball Oxygen. We helped take them from their AS400 green screen system to a real-time mobile app that they deployed all to their entire field personnel to get invoice status, supplies, all that logistics that they had to do by paper and by hand before. We've worked with Pell State Services and their logistical transportation of liquids and things like that, making sure that it was all real-time reported to them. We're working with Groupon right now. We've done work with OpenTable. We've done work with Symantec and Cisco, all here in Shreveport. They find onshoring and nearshoring much more to their liking than they would an offshore resource. So we've really been able to make our name for ourselves, even here in a small town like Shreveport. Like I said, Cohab made all this possible. Through Cohab, I met some very key people in our career as a company. Rand Falbaum, he was an early supporter of Twin Engine and really helped us out when we had problems early on, helped us understand what cash flow meant and all of those types of things. We would not have had that kind of connection without a Cohab introducing us first. Gary Kennedy and Bob Ewing of Red Bull Oxygen, that all happened through Cohab. Stuart Hamill, we had a lot of long talks in those early days, and he really helped us see, how we could pull through it and make it. He's been a fantastic supporter. One of the best examples of what Cohab did for us was introduce us to Everardo Resendez. He was our business coach for our first 2 years of business and helped us understand how to grow and how to get out of the mindset of hourly freelance type work. Before I met Everardo, I was a freelancer. Now we charge about twice as much as what I did as a freelancer because he helped me understand how to turn my freelance practice into a real revenue producing business. Those are just a few of the amazing contacts we've had. I want to talk about Nick Spinazzi. He's here in the audience right now, and I only have a few seconds left, but he approached our company about a startup of his. We helped teach him the fundamentals of software development as well as help build his app. His app is due to be approved any day now in the store. He can go anywhere. His family's here. He's being courted by multiple cities, but he's decided to stay here with us and enter the Breaking Lean program. So this is just one of the many wins, I hope, in the future that we're going to be able to see. Thank you.
Mr. Hanson, thank you so much for coming today. Appreciate your comments. Really do. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Johnette McCreary Magner. She is representing the Shreveport-Bossier Business Alliance for Higher Education, if I'm correct.
That is correct. Thank you.
If you can give us your name and address for our record, would be deeply appreciated.
Yes, it's Johnette Magner. I live at 12075 Ashland Way here in Shreveport. And I'm here today to talk to you about the Shreveport-Bossier Business Alliance for Higher Ed. Our mission is to promote economic development by aligning the offerings of higher education with the needs of the business community. We've been around now for 2 years, and our board is made up of 13 people, and 8 of them represent organizations. The organizations represented include the Shreveport Chamber, Bossier Chamber, African American Chamber, CERT, the Manufacturing Managers Council, Biomed, the NLEP, and the Committee of 100. I'm going to take just a minute here to tell you a little bit about some of the things we've done and what we have planned for our upcoming year. When we formed 2 years ago, we went to an LSU supervisor meeting and found out that they were going to create LSU One. And we got our hands on an org chart that in fact revealed they wanted to remove our chancellor of the medical school here and demote him to a vice chancellor. I met with some people on a Monday morning. We put together a media campaign. We derailed the vote by Friday, and I'm happy to say that was 2 years ago, and we still have a chancellor of the medical school here. In addition, we also have supported LSUS and Northwestern by helping them get doctoral degrees. Northwestern may have the finest nursing school in the state of Louisiana, but they could not get the doctorate of nursing practice degree up here. We had 3 of them down south because of good old South Louisiana politics. We helped them break through the red tape. We now have a doctorate of nursing practice. For the longest time, LSUS was trying to, excuse me?
What about Southern?
Yeah, well, Southern has a very fine nursing school.
I just wanted you to know that.
Okay, well, I appreciate the correction. Yes, Northwestern has the largest. How is that? But anyway, so LSUS wanted a doctorate of education. They could not get it through the Board of Regents. They came to us. We put together a campaign, and now for the first time, LSUS has a doctoral degree, and they had more than 100 people apply for that program, and they took their first class. So it's really, really been exciting. So what do we have ahead, and why did the SBDA, which was designed to be a 2-year organization, decide it needed to continue? I don't know if you read much in the South Louisiana newspapers, but Lafayette sure wants a med school. Baton Rouge gave my husband a tour of Pennington and told him where they were going to put all the med students when they got their med school. And I've got news for you, we don't have enough money to support 4 med schools. There's always talk about moving our med school. There's also talk about starving our med school. So one of the things that we're committed to doing is absolutely supporting our med school and doing so within the LSU system, which is very difficult for our med school to fight its own system. Bubba Raspberry, we have led a campaign to get him reappointed, and we are also right now working to help protect LSU Foundation assets located up here, valued at $200 million. We're asking for a grant in the amount of $50,000 from you this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnette. We appreciate you being here today. Appreciate your comments. Our next speaker for our, and just remind you, anybody else, I only have 3 cards. If anybody else wishes to speak, they need to fill out a card. Dr. George, come up, sir. He's with the Biomedical Research Foundation, as everyone knows. And you need to give us your name and address as always, and we'll let you proceed too, okay?
John George, 5834 Fairfield Avenue. I've come in front of y'all quite a few times. It was about a year ago that we went to Austin to look at the model that we modeled the EAP program after. John Butler helped us. I gave y'all's commitment that we would hire John Butler, and we have. We hired John Butler, and we also hired John Houston out at Tech Columbus. So we have 2 renowned economic development engines that have shown that they know what they're doing and how to do it, and we're modeling ourselves after them. We've hired a couple of professionals to come in. That's your first win. We moved a guy from Washington, D.C., as y'all met Dave. And Ron Odechek, we moved from Tulane, New Orleans, up here to work in the EAP program. We got funded 6 months ago. Since that time, we've raised $1.5 million from the community, which I think is to y'all's credit. I don't think that's the EAP program that they're supporting. It's the fact that y'all supported building this economic engine. They're putting their money behind supporting y'all. We're going to raise another $1 million in the first quarter of the year and another $1.5 million next year. So, and if you look at what we've done in this last 6 months, we've done a 300% return on your investment so far, this year. That money's going to be put to good use. We're looking at 43 prospects right now. We told you that we would do about 100 deals through the EAP program a year. Some might get funded, some might not, but we're going to make sure that they're prepared for the market, and that's what we're doing. I hope that y'all will continue to support us. We're going to hopefully give you some companies that are on the ground and are working in the Caddo Parish area in 2015. Thank y'all for your support.
Thank you, Dr. George. Okay, Todd, I don't have any more cards. You don't have any at this time? Okay, we'll move on to new business.
Just we'll go to new business, adopt the rules of procedure for Caddo Parish operating capital improvements budget for 2015.
What is that?
As everybody knows, we have normally we do this each and every year, and we have the standard rules of procedure in front of y'all. Do we have a motion to adopt these rules?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Williams to adopt the rules, seconded by Commissioner Cox. See no discussion. If we can please vote on our rules at this time. Right here. Gerald? Gerald here?
Yeah.
Commissioner Baker?
Over there.
Come on. Push button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Professor. Okay, that passes 10-1.
Okay.
All right, so we'll move on to our next item.
Next item is budget ordinances for 2015 for review and adoption.
Okay, just remind everybody, we have already had our public hearing, so it is our time to adopt the budget. To have a motion for ordinance number 5426.
So move, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion by Commissioner Williams to adopt ordinance number 5426, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. See no discussion. This is the capital outlay fund budget. Please vote. And that passes. Our next ordinance was ordinance number 5427, the general fund budget. We'll have a motion to adopt this ordinance. Moved by Commissioner Williams.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Epperson to adopt ordinance number 5427, the general fund. See no discussion, please vote. And that passes 11-0. Our next ordinance number is ordinance number 5428, Public Works Fund. That's moved by the chair. We'll have a second to adopt that ordinance. Seconded by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. See no discussion, please vote. Robert, you can thank me later. That passes 11-0. Next ordinance number is 5429, Building Maintenance Fund. Moved by Commissioner Lynn. Do I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Bowman to adopt ordinance number 5429, Building Maintenance Fund. No discussion on the board. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. Our next item is ordinance number 5430, Detention Facilities Fund. To have a motion to adopt ordinance number 5430, the Detention Facilities Fund. Moved by Commissioner Williams.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Epperson. If there's never a motion, we'd always count on Commissioner Williams to speak up, so we appreciate that.
Not always.
No discussion. Always. Please vote.
I'm full of the Holy Spirit.
That's not all you're full of, is it? Okay.
It's holiday season.
Stepped into that one, Commissioner.
That's a 10 there.
Our next one is ordinance number 5431, the Park and Recreation Fund. Have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Please vote.
Mr. Chair,
Hang on one
I did
second.
want to say something on
That
that.
passes. Does someone want to speak on that
I
one?
wanted to speak on that.
Okay, I missed that one, so.
That's all right.
Let me- You okay? I can catch it. 5431,
Did that one.
that one passes 11-0, so we'll move to the next item, is ordinance number 5432, the Solid Waste Disposal Fund. Do I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Bowman to adopt the Solid Waste Disposal Fund, ordinance number 5432. Commissioner Lynch wishes to speak.
I'm hoping that by the time I come back on the commission,
Come back.
Wait a minute.
Come back.
We haven't even got rid of you yet, Commissioner. We just can't wait till January 1st,
We'll
okay?
be getting Meals on Wheels by then.
May be married by then.
I'm full of mine.
this is a family budget meeting. That I'm hoping that we will at some point look at rededicating a portion of this fund. There's a $20 million fund balance.
That's correct.
It's just out of sync right now.
That's a good point.
And so rather than raising taxes, adding a tax, new taxes and all that, we can look at rededicating a portion of this. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I believe those solid waste funds are paid from the people in the rural area.
Yes, sir, but it's part of our strategy going forward to recommend that to the board in the future, that we do that.
And we'll give that money back to the rural area, so that'll be a good
We will
job.
have to use it within the guidelines of the law, sir.
Okay. All right, so this is ordinance number 5432, Solid Waste Disposal Fund. Commissioner
We got
Cox,
two people to talk.
Pass.
your pass?
Yeah.
And Commissioner Escaday.
I pass, since you're gonna be so territorial.
Okay. All right, please vote at this time. And that passes 11-0.
You don't like city code.
Ordinance number 5433, the Juvenile Justice Fund. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Matthew Lynn, seconded by Commissioner Bowman, to adopt ordinance number 5433, the Juvenile Justice Fund. Commissioner Thibodeau?
Yeah, I have an amendment for that. I'd like to move to delay the 2015 funding for Swag Nation until a new contract has been negotiated. And a couple of the items I'd like to see in that new contract it would have to do with how they are paid. That needs to be changed, and how the children are chosen for the program. If I can get a second, I'll discuss it for a minute.
Second it for a second discussion.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Thibodeau to delay the funding with reference to Swag Nation, if I'm correct, on the Juvenile Justice Fund.
Swag Nation contract.
Okay,
Right,
and that's been seconded by Commissioner Escaday, and you wish to speak on that motion at this time?
Right. I've briefly spoken with Commissioner Williams, and I've spoken to Dr. Wilson and to the Director of Juvenile that there are some items in this contract that need to be changed, and I believe there's general agreement that needs to be looked at again before it's funded. I'm not asking that the funding be pulled, I'm just asking that before any funding for 2015 be spent, that the contract is renegotiated.
Let me speak.
Hang on one second. Commissioner Escaday, you don't wish to speak, do you?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Lynch is on the board. Commissioner Williams will come to you in just a second.
Under which one of these line items is that included under?
Hang on one second. Commissioner, Miss Bryant?
Under special programs, which is line item number on page E.
No, I mean on the ordinance.
Oh, the ordinance is adopted in total.
Okay, so
It's not going to, the ordinance is not reflective of the
Yeah,
line
you don't
item.
adopt the line item budget?
well, no, what I'm asking is, what his motion is to hold up the funding for it. But I'm trying to figure out how that impacts us passing this ordinance today. I mean, we've done that on others without,
Right, that's true.
without,
Hang on. Commissioner Thibodeau, did you
making
ask to
any-
delay the funding or just
I mean,
to?
that could be
No,
done
delay the
without.
funding for that one program until the contract is renegotiated. That has nothing to do with voting in
So do
favor
we
of.
need to-
We
right,
don't
so
need
do-
to delay the entire,
Do we need to back out that amount from this,
No.
or
as far as I'm
just
concerned, we can
saying?
just leave it in there.
Okay.
And,
We just want.
because we don't
Hang
know
on. If you
exactly
wish
how
to
that,
speak,
we don't know exactly how that contract will come out. I imagine the funding won't change, but how the funding is paid might change.
Okay, so this particular ordinance and passing the 3 point, whatever it is,
it's
the expenditures and the revenues really doesn't have anything to do with what you're looking for.
Right, I just want to be sure
Okay.
that when we pass.
You're making a statement.
I'm
basically.
making a statement, but I want to be sure that when we pass the Justice Fund, that that particular item is taken care of before it's funded. And that be a part of the overall passage of the ordinance.
that the contract be reviewed, be renegotiated before that particular item is funded.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lynch, you have anything else?
No, that's good.
Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the spirit of compromise, you know, you had a program that was off to a fresh start. There was no model to replicate the program. It is in its original form created by our probation department that is sitting in the audience. Clay was part of that negotiation and compromise to get the program where it's at. The program has won National Significance Award for the work it's done. Now, do we need to end it? No, we need to amend it. And I do feel that we don't need to not fund it, but I do feel we need to tighten up the contract. So everybody can have a win-win on this board, on this horseshoe in here, where it won't look like anything is going wrong with the program. Because, you know, here, we've only been in inception for 2 years. You know, I've invested my money, my time, and my energy. Traveling all over this country, traveling all over Dallas. And when you think of Swag Nation, you see my face in the trenches working for those young boys and girls. I don't want to be singled out. Out of all the programs that we have, this is the only one that has to have a new contract and a new facelift. And, it does need some change. But a lot of them may need changes as well. But in the spirit of compromise and working together, I do feel we need to find some amendments to the contract so we can move forward. The money is not being denied, it's just being delayed until we're able to negotiate the contract agreement with the board or whoever wants to run the program the way you like to see it run, Mr. Thibodeau. And nobody want to see nothing ran right more than I do. With my name, my integrity, my character, I want things done right and above board and transparency. My vertigo is off a little bit. I'm under medication, but I do think you have some merits in your as a commissioner, as a public official. You do have some merit in what you see. So, as long as the funding is not being denied, it's been delayed until they work out and negotiate the contract, I don't have a problem with that.
Commissioner Baker?
The only thing I have to say about it is, you know, we always delay stuff. We never put a time frame. I think we need to put a time frame on this because delaying with us can be 6 months, even a year, 6 weeks. So we need to put a time frame on this delay because if we're saying delay and we just leave it open, then that means that, you know, you're holding up the program by not putting a time frame. So I think if we're going to look at it, if we're going to vote to delay it, we need to put a time frame on how long are we delaying it, and you know, when are we going to make the final decision on the actual contract for the?
But I believe, excuse me, point of order, question.
Commissioner Williams, I'll yield the floor to you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think the attorney and Mr. Woodrow, they decide, they negotiate the cooperative agreements with the independent contractors on the type of service they want. I think Clay is going to be involved in it as well. I mean, we have the expertise here. We have some of the most competent people in America work for Caddo Parish. Nobody wants to see no child or no funding being misappropriated in this parish more than any of us do. Because we all above board. We're transparent. We don't have nothing to hide. But people make indoors an accusation about people doing something wrong when they try to do something out of the goodness of their heart that may look wrong. But it's not. So I hope that this doesn't be the only program singled out. Many of them that has probably some amendment and some changes need to be done as an independent contractor or a cooperative agreement. You have no relationship with an independent contractor. You have no joint venture, you're no agent, nothing personal, no liabilities, none whatsoever. As I appreciate the contract. Am I right?
That's correct.
So, but if you want to, whatever in your vision is to change it or amend it, I don't have a problem with that. You have to live with your conscience and sleep at night. I don't. You have to live with that. Because I know my conscience and my attitude is right about anything I do, no matter what nobody else thinks. And my intentions is always to be not selfish, but to be inclusive in whatever I do. Thank you.
I'm gonna give the floor back to Commissioner Baker. I know you're talking about a time limit.
Yeah, if you can put that on your motion to delay, need a time frame.
60 days. I mean, it could be sooner, however long it takes y'all to get.
Up to 60, up to.
I mean, all the parties have to come together if.
Okay, hang on one second, let me get this straight.
It shouldn't take any longer than 60 days.
Commissioner Caddo, did you second the motion? Will you take a friendly amendment to, I guess, Commissioner Thibodeau's motion for the delay on the Swag Nation for a period of up to 60 days based upon the negotiations with Dr. Wilson and administration and staff?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Baker, do you have anything else?
No, sir, that was it, thank you.
Just want to make sure and reiterate this again. I think everybody's asking questions. We're not saying we're not funding this. We're just simply saying that there needs to be some negotiation and some review of this contract before it actually is funded. Obviously, that will happen sometime next year. Is that correct, Dr. Wilson?
Yes, sir, so I understand it.
Commissioner Bowman?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. That was the question. I just wanted to know, at what point in time frame will we have
in order to have.
And again, I won't be present anymore, but we know Commissioner Williams has worked extremely hard on this issue, and I know he'll be bringing it back up if it gets delayed too long. So, Commissioner Epperson?
It appears to me that the motion isn't relevant. These two gentlemen have made a compromise stating that the proposal needs to be adjusted, and I think a public gentleman's agreement, that's just obvious once we enter into the negotiations with legal and the entity involved and the two commissioners that may have to want to see the contract reworked, we can move forward. So I really don't think this
You
motion
don't
is
really need a
relevant.
motion. You directed the administration to do it. You gave,
Okay, hang on one second. All right, so we do have a motion on the floor. The motion, if I am correct, is to adopt ordinance number 5433, the Juvenile Justice Fund, with the understanding that the Swag Nation contract will be reviewed by legal and the administration staff before that particular contract will be funded, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And if any one of them myself has anything they'd like to see changed in it, then, I mean, I would expect you to let Dr. Wilson know.
Please vote. Okay, that passes 9, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item is ordinance number 5433, the Health Tax Fund.
so moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Lynch to adopt ordinance number 5434, Health Tax Fund. I see no one on the board. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. Our next ordinance is ordinance number 5435, the Biomedical Foundation Fund. I have a motion by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Lynn to adopt ordinance number 5435, the Biomedical Foundation Fund. No discussion. Please vote. Commissioner Thibodeau? And that passes 10-1. Our next ordinance is 5436, the Riverboat Fund. I know we're going to have some requests to speak. Okay, I got a motion. First of all, I got a motion by Commissioner Johnson and seconded by Commissioner Williams to adopt the ordinance number 5436, Riverboat Fund. I think you had an addition?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Cox?
Would like to make an amendment to the Riverboat Fund for the food bank. Instead of 100, bump it up to $250,000 so I can get a second.
Hang on one second.
250,000.
Okay, motion by Cox, seconded by Commissioner Baker. And what was that? Give it to me again, I didn't catch it.
Sir?
Food bank?
Food bank, yes, sir.
How much?
250 instead of the 100.
$250,000?
And 152. Yeah, and 152 to make it $250,000.
Total's $250,000. What is it right now?
100,000.
So we're gonna make it a total of $250.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion by Commissioner Cox and seconded by Commissioner Baker regarding the food bank. Okay, Commissioner Baker?
I'd like to offer a motion to appropriate $30,000 for Samaritan Council.
So that's moved by Commissioner Baker to be seconded by the chair for Samaritan, is that correct? Samaritan Counseling for $30,000. Okay, do you have anything else, Commissioner Baker?
No, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Bowman?
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to appropriate $15,000 for Project Reach.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Bowman, seconded by Commissioner Williams for $15,000 to Project Greet.
Yes, Reach.
Reach, I'm sorry.
In here?
Okay, do you have anything else you need to talk about right now?
That's it.
Commissioner Williams?
Well, No, I think it's self-explanatory about feeding people in this poor state we live in. The whole state is poor. Poverty, unemployment, no health insurance, uneducated. And that's why we got all the highest number of statistics. We should be first in, we last in. People on minimum wages. When the highest state or city is getting shot. Everything this state represents, not everything, majority of everything, we should be first in a lot of things. Education, taking care of poor people, providing health insurance, quality job, quality education. And can we just get along in this state? You know, we got to find a way to recognize that we might have to fund these programs, $250,000 to feed people. If we put people back to work, give them training, offer welfare to workfare, give them a tool and the resources they need to be successful. You never know that we may be have to depend on this same program that we may not vote on. God has no respect to person. You could be up to date and broke and busted, disgusted the next day. No matter who you are. No matter be black, white, young, old, rich, or poor. You may need the CCAA. You may need the Council on Aging. You may need the food bank. You may need the food program. You may need food stamps. AFDC and WIC. So you just never know. We got to be careful. When we say we care about the poor. Because these are God's people that are poor and hurting. Those that have a deaf eye to the cry of the poor, when your time comes, you will not be heard. But you just never know. So I be careful when I vote against programs to help poor people. Because sometimes poor people just can't help themselves. You think people want to be poor and on welfare? I don't think so. Sometimes we just get caught up. Let's be sensitive and compassionate for all of our citizens that live in this city and this state. I hope we all support this majority, and we really, really need to feed people. That's a good motion, Commissioner. We don't agree on a lot of things up here, but let's agree on we need to feed hungry people. A lot of the veterans are depending on this program. They're sleeping on the bridges. They ain't got nowhere to sleep when they fought for this country. They had to come back here and beg to have welfare, get food stamps and a job and a housing. That ain't right. And I don't like it. Don't make no sense. Always talking about what can your country do for you? What can you do for your country? You already fought for your country. Now your country need to do something for you. They went to war and come back here and can't find a job. What kind of American dream is that? Get an education, can't find a job. Can't find a house. Hey man, kudos to you on stepping it up for the poor. God bless you on that one. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Lynch?
I have two questions. One, what is the additional $150,000 based on?
Right.
Hang on one second. You're talking about for the food bank,
Food
correct?
bank.
Commissioner Cox?
They are going through an expansion where they are taking on more of the Northwest Louisiana problem of feeding the hungry. And not only are they looking to buy more food with this, they're actually looking to relocate to another facility, but it is to house more food because they are actually taking on more responsibility through this area.
Okay, so this is for, because they're regional, right? This is not just for Caddo.
Exactly.
So, but how do we plan on ensuring that whatever this increase is going to benefit the citizens of Caddo as opposed to other parishes?
Exactly.
How is that? Do we know how that's going to be accomplished?
It will be done through the cooperative endeavor agreement and reporting.
Well, I know what's in writing, but how are we going to monitor that? I mean, how do we know?
They have to give us
Well,
reports.
Commissioner, they have to give us receipts, reports. They have to give us their books if we request them, any information that we request to show that it was spent here in Caddo Parish.
If they go out and buy $100,000 worth of food, how do we know that that just went to Caddo residents?
They're going to have to come up with a mechanism to show us. If they can't show us, they would have to refund the money.
Are you going to work with them on that?
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Are we voting on these separately? That's what I'm.
Yeah, we'll start with,
Okay.
the, what's the first one's last, the last one first, or am I saying vice versa? So, last one will go first, and the first one will go last. We'll vote for, right now, we have Commissioner Bowman's and Commissioner Williams' Project Reach. We vote on that one, and then we vote on the Samaritan, and then we vote on the food bank one, and then we'd vote on the adoption as a whole.
That's your last one on the board.
I know.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to answer a question.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback on one thing that Commissioner Cox says, we did meet, several of us did meet with Ms. Merrick, and she assured us that, you know, if there was additional funds, that they would be for Caddo Parish residents. And I can't remember all the details to that, but that was one of the questions that we asked her. Yeah, it was Commissioner Bowman, you were with us.
Well, it just seemed like last time we increased their money, they started hiring people. So, to raise more money. So I'm just not sure how much of this is actually gonna go to people as opposed to somebody's pocket. Thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Escudé, you're on the board?
Thank you. I visited with Ms. Merrick at the food bank a couple of months ago, and unless, you know, I was off my meds that day, their biggest problem is space. It's not necessarily food, they can always use food, but they have, perishable food is a problem because of freezer space, but it's mostly space. What they need is bigger building.
That's correct.
And I understand that, and that's I think a big, large-scale project that the city and the parish and everybody with a stake in this thing that's being served needs to address. And to me, that's a separate issue. So, that being said, knowing how our money has to be spent, appropriated legally, what we're talking about is buying another $150,000 worth of food. And like I said, unless I missed something, food donations weren't the big issue. It's the place to store the food. Now, so it leads me to believe that or ask questions, is this money going to be used to lease additional space? If that's true, is that appropriate and allowed by law? Is it going to be used to buy an additional building? If that's true, is that appropriate by law? You know, and I know the answer to those questions, no. You know, in most cases, no. So I'm wondering, instead of tackling the big issue and getting with the city and the parishes served and involved, why we're just going to throw more money at the thing that's not really the problem. It's not lack of food, it's a lack of place to store it. It's not that I want to be greedy or anything, but I know that when they have run out of food in the past, during mid-year, they've come to us and we've always helped them out. So I don't think this is addressing the right problem, and you know, I want to help them with their space issue. I think we do plenty with the food issue, and I just don't think we've thought this out, and I think we need to have much more discussion on it, and we need to get more stakeholders. And I share Mrs. Lynch's concern as well. You know, time and time again, you know, it's Caddo resources. The taxpayers of this parish pay it whether they like it or not. You can't spend it here. We can't be feeding the people in Red River Parish with this tax dollar. You can through nonprofits, and you can with private sector money, but you can't with public money. Whether you want to or not, whether it's right or wrong or not, it's what's legal. And it's what I would have to answer to my constituents. And, you know, I think they pay taxes to take care of their own. And by own, I mean here in this parish. I don't know anybody that voted a tax or have paid taxes saying, I want you to go spend my money in DeSoto or Red River or somewhere else. So, you know, I think we need to just delay this and address the problem, and that is how to get them a facility that they need that addresses the needs for the region of the future and how we can support that. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Bowman?
That was pretty much it. I did want to add about Project Reach. It's a good program. It's one that's working with Judge Stone, and I think it would be just give him 100% support by it. But Commissioner Lynch on the food bank part brought to light what I was trying to get information on. So You can go to Cox.
Well, Commissioner Cox, you've already spoken, so we'll go to Commissioner Thibodeau.
Yeah, I too have spoken with Ms. Merrick, and the additional money was definitely for storage, not for additional food. By having additional storage, especially the freezer space, she said that she would be able to get additional food for the whole northwest part of the state. So, like Mr. Estee said, I think it's premature to spend the additional $150,000 until we determine exactly what her program is going to be. Because it's not being used for food. It is definitely not for food. It's for space, and specifically for freezer space. Because she said the food was available, but they couldn't take it because they had nowhere to store it. So and if you're going to be storing food for all of Northwest Louisiana, how are you going to be able to tell what food goes out is for Caddo and what food goes out is for somebody else? So I think we would be much better to delay the additional $150 until we determine exactly what her program is.
Are they doing that now?
Yeah. I think we'll move on to Commissioner Epperson. I don't think you've spoken, but the other two have.
I too have an issue with the additional $150 for storage. You all may recall what was the Foremost Dairies that is now vacated.
Yes.
I think they have freezers up there that's just sitting there. I think a realtor may have that, trying to get rid of it.
Sealy does.
So just wondering maybe if there's some kind of collaboration that we could go through. Whomever owned that property may want to donate that freezer storage facility to them, where they could possibly get a tax break. Probably benefit them more than selling that property, where it'd be an income where they had to pay taxes. So I think we need to do a little more collaboration relative to that $150,000 expenditure for storage. However, I would support the regular $100,000 that we are contributing towards food at this time.
This currently in the budget.
Right, it's currently in the budget. That's all.
Commissioner Cox.
Well, I'll drop it back down to the original 100, but I can, you can bet your bottom dollar come January, this will come back up, because we are spending money like it's hand over fist on certain people coming in Caddo Parish and Shreveport and asking for our money. And people are bending over backwards to give it to them. This is an organization that has helped people throughout the years and deserves our help. Why? Because it helps people of Caddo Parish. Now, I'll go along with this, but come the day when all these other ones come up, y'all mark your words. I've never really went out on a limb for anybody as far as an organization like I do the food bank. But I can tell you what, to get along this year, my last year, y'all gonna have to play along. So I'll go along with it. I'll take my motion away for the $250, and I'll come back in January. Ask it. Thank you.
So you're withdrawing your motion with
Yes.
$250 to go back to the original $100,000 that's currently in the budget. Is that correct?
Withdraw my second.
Okay.
I just want to speak to,
Okay, Commissioner Williams.
I took my medicine, I'm ready. This organization throughout the history has a proven, documented, and demonstrated record. If anybody who's been accountable and transparent on how they spend the taxpayer money to provide food for the poor people, working with this administration, we don't need to question their integrity and their credibility. They done proven they're credible. They're gonna make sure the people that are getting fed are in Caddo Parish. I think they know how to work out some type of accounting procedure to recognize who's getting fed. Plus, these are the same people that got animals trying to feed their pets out of the same food they're getting from them. I mean, we got to sometimes let our conscience be our guide. And I know working through legal and we want to seem conservative and some things we do, but when we talk about feeding poor folks, sometimes we got to think outside the box within the rules and the guidelines and the policy that we promote. We got to be very careful on the one that we don't promote. You know, so I just want to throw that out there for what it's worth, that these are the same people that we put together a food pantry, pet pantry, for food for those people as well that have to take food out their mouth to get to their pets because they need companionship just like somebody else do. These are citizens that live in Caddo Parish, in the four corners of this parish. Need that help. Now, because the people don't have jobs and unemployed, they need more help from places like CCAA and the food bank because people are unemployed. Look at the statistics. Look at the numbers. So we're going to be coming back in next year. They're going to come before us. That's part of our charter. Promote the general health and welfare of people in this city, in this parish. We in compliance with our charter. So I hope, we don't have, I'm disappointed that you didn't vote for it, but out of respect for this body and this horseshoe, I would support it in the original form, but if it came back again, I support it wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Commissioner Escudé?
Okay, given the two remaining amendments in its current form, as finance, is the wording of the amendment need to be amended, or the funds available in that fund for these additions?
The funds are available.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna, the last one will be first, am I saying that right? So the motion is to amend the ordinance to include $15,000 for Project Reach. This motion was made by Commissioner Bowman and seconded by Commissioner Williams. Please, Commissioner Bowman?
No.
Okay. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. The next one is to amend the ordinance to include the funding to Samaritan Counseling for $30,000. That was made by Commissioner Baker and seconded by the chair. Please vote for that one. That passes 11-0. Now we'll go back to the original ordinance, the Riverboat Fund, ordinance number 5436. To move that. That motion has already been made. It was made by Commissioner Johnson, and I can't remember. I think it was seconded by you, Commissioner Williams. Please vote.
Move as amended.
It's amended.
Please moved as amended. Commissioner Thibodeau?
Yeah, I just want to make a short comment. I will not be voting for the ordinance simply because I think there's tremendous opportunity within this fund to have spent this money more wise than it's being spent, especially in the area of food. And I think, I remember when Commissioner Lynn was in charge of that committee, they broke it down into how everything was expended. And we had an opportunity to really combine some funds, combine some money, and stop a lot of the duplication of services, and we didn't do it. And I think we still have that problem, and simply because of that, I'm going to vote against the ordinance.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I'm gonna have to properly disagree with him on that because the committee worked hard to get the number down. There was over $2.8 million worth of requests, and we got this number down to right at $1 million. So we did do a lot of vetting with different entities to make sure that the duplication of services, yes, there are some duplication of services, but at the same time, if you have a tutoring program in Allendale, the children that's in Martin Luther King area will not be going to that, or the children in Queensboro won't be going to that. So therefore, you will have duplication of services in the neighborhood entity. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're very welcome. Mr. Baker? Commissioner Williams, you want to speak?
Like Commissioner Johnson say, we all sat down and looked at this fund, Commissioner Thibodeau, and we did a whole lot of cutting in this Riverboat Fund, but also we took a real good look at the organizations that's left in here and looked at what they were doing and what their programs are doing, and we as a body decided that they were feasible programs. Now, not to say that all of the programs that applied are not feasible programs, but I think we did a real good hard-working job of narrowing it down to what it is narrowed down to. Like Commissioner Johnson said, it was over $2 million. So I think we worked pretty hard at getting this gone down and getting it to a feasible amount of money, as well as some feasible organizations that's doing some good work in the community. I mean, you can't be a public body and not support community organizations. I just don't see that happen, so. I will hope you reconsider before we push the button and support the Riverboat Fund. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I think we need that laugh.
All right, we have to get back with Commissioner
I
Williams.
want to make a motion that since Southern beat Grambling,
Sorry, Mom, I
he ain't got
can't
to
do
come
it.
over here and shake my hand.
Ken says that motion's out of order.
Sorry, Bob.
He don't want
Can't do it.
That's not germane. He don't want
No,
to.
he been
Censored.
Big Lynch. Grambling, we beat y'all, so you need to come over here and show some love.
Please vote. Commissioner Thibodeau, he's still thinking which way to go.
You still thinking?
How'd he do?
We do have a good time. But
That does pass 9-2. As you and the public will see that most of these ordinances move fairly quickly till we get to a couple. Obviously, one was the Riverboat Fund. That does pass 9-2, and we'll move on to our next one, which is ordinance number 5437, the Criminal Justice Fund ordinance. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Baker, seconded by Commissioner Bowman, to adopt the Criminal Justice Fund ordinance number 5437. Commissioner Lynch, you're on the board to
I
speak,
have
please.
a quick question.
Sure.
The transfer to the general fund, what is that for? The 1.7 million?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
What is that, the 1.7 million transfer to the general fund?
That's the annual transfer we have to make in order to cover the expenditures in the general fund.
And then you put it back?
Put it back. Where? It goes into it goes into the general, your general fund revenues are not enough to cover the total expenditures in the general fund.
Right.
So you have to annually make a transfer.
When you
from the
get
fund.
enough, do you put the money back?
We can, but we
He's
have
selling for capital projects this year, this coming year.
You borrowing the money, this is a loan.
It's not a loan.
Oh, it's not a loan?
No. But what we have done is we've reduced the amount of the transfer over the years because we've recognized that we don't need the amount, the amount that we've been transferring has been too much. So we've reduced the amount of the transfer and we will continue to reduce the amount of transfer if it's not necessary. And we're using more of the general fund balance for capital projects.
2015.
You won't have that luxury at the city.
Right.
Okay.
Get it while it's getting good, huh?
It's a long, we can get it back at some point.
You can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we're voting on ordinance number 5437, the Criminal Justice Fund. Please vote. That passes 10, one abstention by Commissioner Williams. Okay, our next one is the Oil and Gas Fund, ordinance number 5438. You'll have a motion to adopt the Oil and Gas Fund. That is moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, seconded by Commissioner Bowman. There is no discussion. Please vote. And that passes 11-0. Our next item is the ordinance number 5439, the Economic Development Fund. Do I have a motion? I have a motion to adopt the Economic Development Fund. That is moved by Commissioner Escaday and seconded by Commissioner Williams. Okay. Commissioner Escaday, you wish to speak on that?
I'd like to offer the following amendments proposed to the budget. I have 3 of them. They'll be taken separately, please.
Okay.
And amend ordinance number 5439 for the Economic Development Fund to provide appropriation of $300,000 for Southern University, $326,880 for the Biomedical Digital Media Program.
How much? 320?
$326,880. It represents the remainder of the balance that they have not used, and $50,000 for the Shreveport Business Alliance.
I second it.
Thank you.
Okay, the last one was the $50,000 for,
Shreveport-Bossier Business Alliance.
right, the one that Mr. Johnny was here about a while ago?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so you got the three there. 300 to Southern, 326,880 to Biomed, and $50,000 to Shreveport Business Alliance. Okay,
I'd like to speak on those.
all right, I have, go ahead.
I think the first two are obvious. We've had plenty of discussion as far as, I think most of you were present for the Shreveport-Bossier Business Alliance presentation a few months ago and the work that they're doing. They're asking for and have a firm commitment for funding for 2 years, 2 years only. So we'll unequivocally state after 2 years not to knock on the door again, because I take people at their word, or try to. Thank you.
Now, is that the motion you made, and that is seconded by Williams on all three of those amendments? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then, Commissioner Williams, do you wish to speak too, or not?
Well, I have another motion I'd like to bring up as well.
Okay, so you have a substitute motion?
I have an amendment to.
Okay, that's
budget
right. All right.
To ordinance number 5439.
Okay.
I'd like to amend the budget for $65,000 for the Stan Lewis Rock and Roll Jazz and Blues Festival that comes up this year.
Can you give it to me again, the what?
The Stan Lewis Rock and Roll Jazz and Blues Festival that we did last year to the SRAC. Do it again this year.
We already did it last year.
The second.
Okay, that's an amendment by Commissioner Williams, and that's seconded by Commissioner Bowman.
We don't give my first.
Okay, do you wish to speak any further on that, Commissioner Williams?
No, please.
Okay. Commissioner Cox?
I'd like to make an amendment to 5439 for Cohab Foundation for the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Okay, I have an amendment by Commissioner Cox. That was seconded by Commissioner Williams, is that correct?
Yes.
$50,000 for Cohab.
I thought they were already on here.
Cohab's not on there, are they, Erica?
No.
No, sir.
They're not on there. Commissioner Johnson, you're next on the board.
Yes, I might have a two-phase motion.
Two-phase, all right, we hadn't heard of that
Never
one.
heard that before.
New wording there. Let the president get that
First
down.
one is
Go ahead.
to increase amendment 5439, 15,000 for MLK CDC.
Wait a minute, how much?
Economic Development,
MLK, what is it?
CDC,
How much?
15,000.
On some of
All right. Next phase?
Next one is.
Okay, that was, okay, we'll go ahead and get that.
The next one is to reduce 5439 by 500,000 for Biomed EAP. You will do it? Reduce it? If I get a second, I can discuss it.
Second, what'd you reduce it to?
500,000.
Okay, so this
To
motion,
zero.
No, you're saying reduce.
okay, let me get correct. We have,
What are you doing?
wait a second. We got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Johnson, and seconded by Commissioner Lynch, is that right?
Right.
And those two are two phases, $15,000 for the MLK CDC economic program. And the second one was to reduce Biomed EAP by $500,000. Is that Biomed, where's that at? It's on economics.
This one is automatically put in.
Under Barksdale Forward.
Okay, all right. So that'll completely take them out of economic development. All right, so that motion was made by Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Lynch.
Do I need to discuss?
Yeah,
that?
go ahead.
Okay. Erica, based on the question I asked earlier, right now, EAP hasn't requested any funds for 2014. So they have 500,000 already out there that hasn't been even used. And the deadline for using that is March of 2015. So basically, if you haven't utilized the money this year, you still got the first quarter of 2015 to utilize it. And to me, why have an organization to sit there and hold parish money and it's not even being used? So that's why I put in that motion to reduce the 500,000.
Now, sir, that's correct. They have until March 2015 to request 2014 cost.
Right.
If they incur any cost in 2015, those would not be covered if your amendment passes. Only costs associated with 2014 can be requested up until March 2015. The money does not automatically carry over.
And the reason I'm making this is because I feel that if an organization has a year to utilize the money and they don't utilize the money, then not having them to carry that money over plus get an additional $500,000. That's just wrong, and we sit here and we go through all kind of hoops to make sure that these small organizations spend $10, $5, $20,000, and here it is $500,000 that ain't been used. And there's no discussion about it. There's no claim. It's just basically pass it through. And I have a problem with it because the small neighborhood organizations and the smaller organizations that we sit here and we ask them 90,000 questions for, it's just unfair. You know, to me, that's just my opinion. And I wish that I have more support on this. And if you want to do a friendly amendment some kind of way, I'm open with that. But I'm not open with giving them $500,000 for another year, and they haven't even used $500,000.
Okay. We'll keep going. Next on the board is Commissioner Epperson.
I'm going to support the deal on the $500,000 for biomed. You know, it appears to me as though we are so quick to jump in with these private partnerships. Look like anybody come by and say they got a private partnership, they're going to do economic development. We just roll over like a, well, anyway, I'm not going to call it what it is, but I think these private ventures, once they incorporate and go into business, I think they should basically, for the most part, sort of be on their own. And then I'm concerned too, sometime when I request information, I never get information, or I may get a call, may get a contact say that's proprietary information. You can't have that information because this is a private partnership, so they aren't subjected to the same laws and rules and regulations as a public entity would under the Public Records Act. But they can take big chunks of taxpayers' money. And I just don't see that. We harp about transparency. And I think I still have a letter on the table, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Wilson, that I had asked, submitted a letter to ask Biomed to tell us how many jobs they had created. And, you know, no response whatsoever. We've been dealing with them, I guess, going on 3 years. And I remember when they first appeared that I think it was Dr. Scrivanos and some more that came down. Someone even made the statement that they had $8 million in cash. They are constantly delving into other entities as far as operating the medical center, which was a pretty shady deal. Then we incorporating the program with Dr. Morales from LSUS over there. Plus the big crawl in my throat is that we have a millage, a 10-year millage, which I think the other day somebody came down and want to accelerate the passage of it before they leave. You know what I mean? Further taxpayers' dollars. Over a 10-year period of time, over $25 million has gone toward Biomed for economic development. And I think I questioned the principals that was here, asking them, well, how many jobs have you created with you know, almost $26 million? Oh, we created 100 jobs, and it's in the minutes. We created 100 jobs averaging $69,000 a year. I said, well, please give me the name and addresses or zip codes of those 100 individuals that's working at Biomed making $69,000 a year. Because every time I go to Walmart or Super One, a church or whatever, people in commission, we need jobs. We need good paying jobs. I have to this day not heard anything relative to that. And I find it highly offensive to be just totally disrespected. You know, it appears as though some of these entities that come down here, if they can count to 7 or they can count to the majority of whoever's up on this dais. It's everybody else just go to hell. We aren't going to honor your wishes, even though you represent 26,000 residents, 14,200 registered voters. We got the vote, so hell, we aren't going to honor your request. We don't owe you no explanation. You're running into a barrier now because this is a private entity, and we aren't subjected to the same public record laws as a public entity. However, thank you, we'll take that whole amount of taxpayers' dollars. I think that they have, went their length with us. Every time we turn around, it's something new. The people that they are hiring, they're bringing them in from out of state. I think I got a bill the other day, whereas I was looking at a salary of over $500 and some $1,000 salary range. And then I thought we couldn't give taxpayers money to pay salaries. And then somebody said, well, somebody said that economic development, we can do it. Well, show me the ordinance. Show me the policy that this body has voted on that stated that we can do that, whereas we can't do the same thing with other entities. So I think these private partnerships need to get out on their own. These are speculative ventures that they come into. It appears to me and a number of my constituents that these jobs are being created for a handful of people, privileged people. They aren't pulling anyone locally in these high-paying jobs, and I just can't go for this anymore. Thank you.
Commissioner Lynch?
Oh, okay. Luggage back there. I want to make an amendment to add the $20,000 back for the Inner City Entrepreneur Institute.
That's nice.
Okay.
Yeah, Biz Camp.
I second.
$20,000 to Biscayne?
Yes. I'm not really sure.
Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Williams.
I'm not really sure why it's not in here. When I'm looking at all these other programs getting $300,000 and $400,000 and $500,000, and we have a program that is working promote entrepreneurship, one that's been working very well, promote entrepreneurship with young people. Really the only one that, and I know they're working with Cohab now, but one of the first and still only ones that's directly working with our youth. You know, that's all I have to say about that. I have a question about the Southern University. How were they not in here in the budget, and we're having to do an amendment? Was there some issue when it came up in the committee meeting?
Because the larger amount funded items were actually discussed multiple times, and it was discussed after the printing of the book. So therefore, it had to be added in.
Okay. And then the balance on the digital media, what balance? What are we talking about? What's the balance for Ms. Frazier? Bryant, somebody.
Yes, ma'am. They had a $450,000 appropriation for 2014.
Okay.
And they've discussed with you all that they will not be able to use all of those monies in 2014. And so they want to carry it over to 2015, which requires an appropriation. And as of right now, based on the payments we've made in 2014, they have $326,880.
Okay, so that money was put back into the fund balance?
Yeah, right, it's already accounted for. It would not reduce the current fund balance.
Okay, gotcha. And then the SB Alliance is something new. So now, is that a political PAC, or what? Who made that motion on that?
Oh, and which one were you saying?
On SB Alliance.
That's Shreveport. Hang on one
Is that
second.
a political PAC?
No, it's
No, ma'am, it's not. We operate as a nonprofit organization.
Is it a quasi-political PAC?
It's not even close, ma'am.
Okay.
We don't do any.
Not that I...
Go ahead and say it. You're going out anyway.
She's smart.
Okay, thank you, that was my question.
Good. Commissioner Baker?
I want to respond to Commissioner Johnson's amendment to remove EAP from the Economic Development Fund. Now, on last year, we passed an ordinance to fund EAP, and we even went to Austin, Texas, looked at the program, and from passing the ordinance saying that we were in favor of their program. Now, as far as them expending their $500,000, they didn't even get the monies appropriated to them until half of the year was gone. So that didn't give them a year to expend the $500,000 that they had to expend for the year of 2014. So I just don't think it's fair that we would pass an ordinance saying that we would fund a program, and then we turn around and when time for us to vote on what we already voted on and what we've already said, and when it's time for us to get ready to vote to appropriate the funding, then we come up with all these different ideas, all these different, I didn't get, I didn't do, I didn't see, I didn't hear, and we've had numerous presentations from biomedical staff who have come here and told us what they were doing. They are actually doing what they're supposed to do. It's not like they're not doing what they're supposed to do with the funding that we appropriated for them. And then we wait to the last very 9th hour when it's time for us to make a decision to vote for them to get the money appropriated. Then we come up with all these excuses and all these things that they're not doing and what they're not saying to make an excuse for us not to appropriate the money. So I just don't think it's fair. If we voted on the ordinance to appropriate the money for them, then I think that we as a body, we as professional people, we as elected officials, we as community servants should do what we say we're going to do, and that's appropriate the money, like we say it. If we weren't going to appropriate the money, then we never should have passed the ordinance. Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
I know the digital media program was supposed to come and make a presentation. Did they ever come?
Yes, sir, they
Yes.
did. They did, sir.
That must have been the day I was not.
Yes, sir, that's
great
correct.
job.
That's correct.
Okay. That's why they came that day. All right, on the proposal for Stan Lewis, do we have a proposal? Do we have a written proposal on that?
Yeah, Shrek, the one puts it out. They did the
I mean,
program.
do we have a written proposal
They-
showing
no.
what the money would be spent
Well,
for?
quite sure we had to go through legal before we couldn't get it passed in the other, but that's why I brought the amendment today.
I mean, you have one, I don't have one.
No, we don't.
We don't have one.
We don't have anything. And for the MLK CDC, do we have a written proposal for that?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
But I'll let legal answer that, but yes, we do.
When, I mean, did it ever go before the Economic Development
No, we
Committee?
didn't. It came in late.
All right.
It's like this one coming in late. It went before, but it didn't pass.
I'd like to ask that those two proposals go before the Economic Development Committee, just as everything else goes to the committee, and that the decision be made by the committee and then brought back to the
You and Mr. Stan Lewis, same age.
Hang on. Wait a minute now.
Pardon?
All right.
Yes, it did.
Commissioner Thibodeau's got the floor. Okay.
I'm asking that Commissioner Williams and Commissioner Johnson be willing to send it through the committee to make a determination so that we can see what it's about. I have no idea what it's about, and neither does anyone else up here other than maybe the maker. And if we ask for everything to go through the committee, then there's no reason for these two not to go through the committee.
Which one you talking
As
about?
many times as Mr. Johnson has said, did it go through the committee? So that's what I'm asking, that you allow it to go through the committee.
Well, can I respond?
Yeah, hang on one second. Which
I
one you
got
talking
the
about?
floor
You're talking about the MLK 15?
Stan Lewis proposal and the MLK CDC.
Okay, I got you.
Neither of those, we have not seen a written proposal in the Economic Development Committee. So therefore, the committee doesn't know anything about either of these proposals. We have passed on all the other ones. We need to have an opportunity to pass on these.
We'll let Commissioner Johnson,
William, I'm on the board.
hang on one second. I'm going to let Commissioner Johnson speak since he is the chairman of that.
Well, I'm not the chairman of that, but I can do a point of, we just did the Riverboat Fund,
Okay.
which was NGOs, and we just added two entities in that.
That may be why I voted
and
against
those, oh, you voted against it, fine and dandy. But at the same time, we didn't ask, what was those about? You asked the commissioner that made the motion, they told you what it was about, and we moved on. We can do the same thing now. Yesterday, we sat through a meeting for about an hour, talking about something that didn't go through committee. So, I mean, we pick and choose what we want to send through a committee. Either we send everything to a committee, or we don't send it. So.
Well, what we had yesterday, we didn't do anything but.
But it still should have went through a committee before it
did
came to the
nothing.
body.
We didn't give them a thing.
Okay. You got the floor, sir.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say that I think we need to work together. And I do feel that there are some commissioners who do pick and choose what they feel is good for a particular community or a particular district, which I think is unfair. We have a very diverse community, and if anybody don't know Mr. Stan Lewis, you guys are about the same age. And all the contribution he done made to our community, to our paying sales tax and hiring jobs. And he's a legend in our community, which he needs a statue in the front of the municipal auditorium just as much as the other people, just as much as Elvis. So it's unfair to say that because you didn't participate in the unseen festival downtown, everybody knew about it. 4,000 people showed up from all over this architect within a 50, 100-mile radius to come to the Rock and Roll Jazz and Blues Festival right there on Texas Street. Trying to turn Texas Street into something like Memphis Street. So, I mean, we need to get out the dark ages or the wagons and pony days and get into the 21st century. People come to our city because they want entertainment, not just because of riverboats. But you get to have things for young people, for children and families, and this is something everybody can be a part of. It's both the diversity in our community. It was very, very, very successful. And before it gets vetted or get funded, it need to be vetted through our legal and through our parish attorney that has signed the agreement. If it don't meet the muster, don't do it. It will be facilitated by SHRAC, who has here again, a proven track record of doing things in the community well. So I think we just voted like Commissioner Johnson said. We just had people come before us that didn't go before a committee, and we supported those. And now we say let's go support these two because they didn't come before a committee because certain commissioner wasn't present. We got to stop doing that. We got to have a balanced approach and move on in the South, in Caddo, that we can work together. We're not going to all get everything we want, and we see what's good. What this does is it's good for everybody, not just for the commissioner that's sponsored it. It's good for everybody. So I hope that we don't delay it because of that. Let's move forward. Let's work together and be inclusive and find some relationships and partnerships and move forward where we can grow our city and help our young people and our children and our family and our professionals grow and have something to do when they get off work. 'Cause right now they don't have anything to do but go to the boat. And now we got the Mavericks. We get some momentum going with the Tourist Bureau, with the Sports Commission. There are a lot of activity and great things going on in Shreveport now. I hope we don't delay it because one commissioner wants to change. So I just hope we move forward. Thank you.
I believe I had the floor, Mr. President.
Sure. Commissioner Thibodeau?
I don't think this is because one commissioner wants to change it. It's because we have a system of committees, and either we use them or don't. If we're just going to use our attorney, then forget about the committees. Everybody turn your stuff into Donna and let her decide whether it's legal or not, and then bring it all to us, and we'll vote as a full commission. Either this goes through the committee or it doesn't. I mean, you can't pick and choose. And we didn't pick and choose last, and I think the only one that we picked and choose was Mr. Bowman's over here. I don't think it had ever gone before the NGO committee. The rest of them had gone before the committee, but they were being increased. Neither of these have ever been through. I'm just saying, I don't know anything about it. Are we want to put up a statue of Stan Lewis? I agree, Stan Lewis and probably needs to have a statue more than Elvis Presley. But I don't know what your proposal is. And just because it's to honor a person who deserves to be honored, doesn't mean we ought to throw the money at it. It just means we need to see how the money's going to be spent.
Track has a proposal.
Well, that's
Go
wonderful.
before the-
We don't have the proposal.
We don't need to delay it.
Then let Trax pay for
We
it.
just want to vote for it, Mr. Bowles. Mr.
So I'm
Chairman,
just saying, I'm asking that it go before the committee.
thank you. All of them need to go before the committee.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson, did you make a, I don't know, did you?
No,
Hang on one second, you didn't make a motion.
No, I didn't. I asked them just to do it
I got you, because I think
As-
that's probably the more,
as something
the
that we,
more appropriate thing to do.
Wow.
Moving on to Commissioner Epperson.
The Shreveport Bossier Business Alliance.
Yes.
Alliance for Higher Ed. Johnette,
Yes, sir.
if I can ask her a question?
Well, according to the rules,
Yeah, that's okay. Well,
she did speak a while ago, but actually,
Rules say no.
yeah, according to our rules, I'm just looking at that, you're not supposed to, public's not supposed to say anything.
Okay,
Y'all wanna, if you wanna make a motion to, suspend the rules to allow her to speak by a vote of 7, she can talk, is that correct, Todd?
2/3.
2/3.
Do you wanna make a motion, do you need?
That's
Sir?
okay.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask her, was any members of that Shreveport Bossier Business Alliance, part of that PAC group that came out against the school board? You know, they had some kind of group, that's what I want to know. But anyway, my second concern, I think Ms. Baker, I wanna, okay, Ms. Baker, I don't want you or anyone to think that I'm just at the verge now at the last minute of my non-support of Bowell-Mayer.
We've been consistent.
Everyone here know that I've been consistently against this ever since they first came down, okay? So I don't want anyone in the public, anyone on this diocese that's not familiar, to state that I'm just overnight. And I am valid in my concerns as far as asking for information that I have not received. And I'm adamant when I request information that we do it in writing. My request as well as response. And to this date, my requests have not been answered. And it's not so much as offending Ken Epperson, but it's offending my constituents. I have to face these people every day when they say, you all this money you putting out, and my son or my daughter or me, I don't have a job, but you're talking about $70,000 a year in jobs? Where in the hell are they going? They're certainly not coming to us. Those are valid concerns that my constituents deserve answers for, plain and simple. I just want to let everybody know that. Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman,
Yes, sir, we're still able to amend.
you wanna make another amendment?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be out of money? Great.
Oh, well, that seems to be the going thing.
We got plenty, don't worry about it.
long time ago.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, a long time. Amend ordinance, 54,
Solid waste.
Hang on one second. Go ahead. It's up there in that rural area, remember?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner Bowman.
Okay, I would like to amend ordinance 5438 of Oil and Gas Fund and ordinance number 5439 of the Economic Development.
We already passed oil and
Oh,
gas.
yeah.
38.
We're on the Economic Development Fund, you can only do the,
Oh, well, take it back. One at a time.
hang on one second, I've let the chairman talk, we've got too many people talking. So Commissioner Bowman, I'm gonna give you the floor, you wanna amend 5439, the Economic Development Fund for what?
To provide an appropriation of $1 million for the Caddo Common with $700,000 of the $1 million coming from the Oil and Gas Fund.
1.5. When
We've already, hang on guys, listen, if you wanna talk, you need to raise your hand or press the button.
Press button.
Okay, I will ask to state 1 million from economic development,
1.5.
1.5 economic development,
Yes, sir.
and what'd you say from oil and gas?
Yes, sir. From Oil and Gas Fund and ordinance number 5439 from Economic Development Fund to provide appropriation for the $700,000 to come from the Oil and Gas Fund. $700,000 of the 1.5.
Okay, I just got a point of order. Donna, can we do that? We've already passed the,
You can't go back into the oil and gas fund until you've,
till next meeting?
unless you all pass a motion to reconsider it.
No.
You've passed the oil and gas fund.
We've already passed it, that's correct.
And so unless you're gonna do a motion to reconsider the oil and gas fund,
We can't go back there and.
You can't go back into the oil and gas fund. Now, I'll ask Ms. Bryant if there's something she can do administratively that does not require a motion.
If they pass a motion that says 1.5 million from economic development with 700,000 coming from oil and gas, we would have to take 700,000 from oil and gas. We may have to come back later and amend it, but if you pass that motion saying 700 comes from oil and gas.
Okay, so your motion is to fund Caddo Common, $1.5 million from economic development and $700,000 from oil and gas for a total of, I guess it's 2.2 million, correct?
No, it's 1.5.
It's 1.5 to 700,000 is coming from oil and gas.
Okay, 1.5 million, but $700,000 coming from oil and gas.
Yes, sir.
So the 800 from economic, okay. All right, so that motion is made by Commissioner Bowman.
I second.
And seconded by Commissioner Williams to fund Caddo Common total $1.5 million. All right, Commissioner Bowman, do you have anything else you want to speak since you still have the floor?
Okay.
I'll speak.
Well, one particular thing, it's just time for us to continue in revitalization and the building of what we have, not only within the city, but the parish. And I'm always in support of anything that's innovative, and we can't always just go with some of the same stuff and then continue to expect a different result. I'm about beautification, and I think this is something that will enhance us artistically and culturally in the area. So,
Okay. Commissioner Lynch?
I second this motion.
Oh, you want to talk, Commissioner Lynch?
I would. Just to piggyback on what he said, this is only subject to if the city and they go out and get other from the private sector to put up the other 1.5, because the total cost of the project is $3 million. All right?
an amendment to the budget.
Our money would not be moved until they match the funds
That's not the motion.
from other outside sources, from public or private partners, to get to the goal they want is $3 million.
All right, so are you asking, hang on one second, please. Are you asking for a friendly amendment?
Amendment to that motion.
And that is that these funds that we're going to put up, not be put up until the city matches, is that correct?
To SHRAC.
The what? SHRAC?
SHRAC.
Okay.
The SHRAC. The SHRAC.
Caddo Common.
The Caddo Common Board. The Caddo Common Board of SHRAC. Go out and lobby or get other public and private partners to come up with the other 1.5. They have to match it. It's a match.
Do you accept that friendly amendment, Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir, I accept.
Okay.
That's the only way these funds are going to be.
Yeah, they would have to be matched.
All right? They have to go out and do something, put some more skin in it, not just us, but totally be up by ourselves. If we want to totally be inclusive and make it a parish-wide, city-wide, Caddo Common Park, the city and the other private sector need to come up and have some skin and a stake in the game.
Oh, if you put the
You agree? Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Lynch?
Kind of feeling like Biggie right now.
Like who?
Biggie.
Multiple problems.
Biggie say more money, more
Multiple
problems.
problems.
I'm feeling a little pimp right now with all of these additions being made. Can you run down the list again?
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
I'm not sure.
I can. You want me to tell you what we have?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
I'm going to start with the most recent ones. We had a motion by Commissioner Bowman, seconded by Commissioner Williams, to amend the current Economic Development Fund to provide funds to Caddo Common totaling $1.5 million. $800,000 will come from the Economic Development and
700.
no, $800,000 from Economic Development and hang on, $700,000 from oil and gas. Excuse me.
Yes.
It's 850,000.
Well, it's a total of $1.5 million, $700,000 from oil and gas, the remaining part from economic development, okay? There was a friendly amendment made on that motion that those funds will not be allocated until the Caddo Common Board can match that funding request. The next one was made by yourself and seconded by Commissioner Williams, provide funding for $20,000 to BizCamp. LBJ came up with the next motion for the two phase, was number 1 to fund the MLK CDC economic development for $15,000 and to reduce the Biomed EAP by $500,000. The motion before that was made by Commissioner Cox and seconded by Commissioner Williams to fund COHAB $50,000, and the motion before that was made by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Bowman to fund the Stan Lewis Rock and Roll Festival for $65,000. The first motion was made by Commissioner Escaday and seconded by Commissioner Williams to adopt the original motion with 3 amendments: $300,000 to Southern, $326,880 to Biomed, and $50,000 to the Shreveport Business Alliance Group. Shreveport Bossier, is that what it is called?
SBBA.
Yes. Commissioner Lynch, did that answer your questions, other than I would like to move this meeting along?
I know,
and we're
but-
getting really a lot of amendments, so.
Right, but this is, I think it's
And
important.
I know this is very important.
It's extremely important, and, you know, I had plans when I came in here, but y'all shot those, so I'm good. On the COHAB.
Yes, ma'am.
Why were they not already in? Did y'all get y'all stuff in late or what?
We took it out.
Commissioner Johnson, can you answer that? Why would the COHAB?
No, I don't chair that.
Okay, because it's on economic development.
Okay.
Commissioner Cox?
They did not get their stuff in on time, correct?
No, the committee, they got it in.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
To take it out.
Okay.
Did not pass.
The committee did not recommend.
Okay, another entrepreneurial program that did make the cut.
That's correct.
Concerned about that. Now, where is the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission? Are they not on here again? On
They didn't
here?
ask for funding.
Oh, they didn't ask for any money?
They're in there.
Where are they at?
They're on, they're in there for, 25,000.
Economic development?
Yes, ma'am.
Page is that on?
Page E58 in your budget book.
What page?
E58.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Right on the military.
Okay, good.
Wish y'all number these pages to put the E.
Now, let me ask on the,
Oh, no, you don't.
let me go back to, let me ask this, where is this money coming from? All this proposed, and I'm not saying it's all gonna pass, but I'm looking at a 1.458 fund balance with a proposal for 800,000 to come out, which is gonna drop it to about a 700,000 fund balance. And, you know, you add up all this other stuff.
Yes, ma'am. In order to accomplish all the amendments you all have proposed so far, you would have to have that 700,000 coming from the oil and gas fund.
Total.
Unless, I'm sorry, no, because you would have to have some coming from oil and gas fund if everything you have passed.
Well, more than the 700,000, really, once you add up everything.
No,
If you're
ma'am,
gonna
because
leave a fund-
Biomed Digital Media is already considered in your fund balance. So you don't have to take that out.
Okay, so what would be the ending fund balance if everything passes?
Definitely.
658, that's including reducing the Biomed EAP.
658,000.
Yes, ma'am.
That's already, I mean, we only have 1.4 million because we've transferred in.
That's me factoring in if you transfer in an additional 700,000 from oil and gas.
What's wrong with
Oh, really?
Okay, so that's.
Okay. Okay, so, but that's in addition to the 1.7 million that we
That would be in
already-
addition to the 1.7. You can budget an additional amount here. We would have to come back later and address the other fund that you're trying to get it from, but you can make a motion to approve, increase that 1.7 to 2.4.
So basically 2.4 million would be transferred.
Yes,
out of the
ma'am.
Oil and gas.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we can clear on that. Let me get back to the biomed EAP.
it.
The part about the salaries, and let me say this, because I do need to say that, and not that Commissioner Epperson needs any backup, but he's been pretty consistent in his concerns and his questions on this. It's not a last minute deal, and in terms of his concerns, but my question on the biomed, the sheet that you all gave out at the meeting yesterday had rent for the building on it, it had salaries on it, it had some, quite a number of things that I know we've told other entities that they could not pay out of our money. So what's the distinguishing factor here?
The distinguishing factor is that they're doing economic development on behalf of the parish.
On behalf of the parish?
Yes, that is the whole premise. For any of your programs, that you're paying these programs to do things that you would do if you had the staff. That is the whole premise behind cooperative endeavor agreement.
Is that for NGOs and for economic development entities?
That is for your economic development entities, and to a certain extent it is for your NGOs.
Okay, so salaries can be paid and office rent can be paid.
For your economic development entities, your policy has been in the past for your NGOs that these organizations are supposed to be self-sufficient, and you're paying them to carry out the programs you don't have the staff to do. So your policy has been in the past not to pay the salaries out for those persons.
Right, but what you're saying, it's been different for the economic development?
Yes, ma'am, it has always been different.
I should have asked for 100.
Okay, when you say our policy, is that something that's written, or is that something that is just based on how people feel, or?
That is something that you all instructed us to do in economic development committees.
So that's not something that's in the charter or that's been passed by the commission?
No.
So it could not be consistent, conceivably, depending on.
When you say it's not been
well, I'm just saying, if it's just based on the committee, the committee changes every year.
That's been your consistent instruction for the past 10 years that I've been here.
10 years?
Yes.
I'm not really sure, because I know we sent some people's things back because they were paying salaries and because they were paying.
Commissioner, it has not been done. Usually what happens, if there has been something in the application that was not permissible either under the law or by your standards, then it's changed to allow that organization to use their funding for something else.
Right.
And so.
But they were told they couldn't use it for that specific purpose.
Yes. So it has been consistently applied.
Okay. All right, thank you. Those are my questions.
Commissioner Baker?
Call for a question.
Oh, you.
Everybody has a
second.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner Baker.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lynch to call for the question.
Got a point of clarification.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Now, this call for the question is to stop discussion on this. But as we go into each one of these amendments to the motions, does that also ends the talk on that as well?
Your call for the question, per your rules, is on the original motion. If you want to end discussion on the amendments, you would have to call for your question on each one of your amendments.
Okay, the vote now.
Okay. Please vote.
Now, just a point of clarification.
And that passes 9-2. Okay, so the last one will be first. Todd, if I get on the line, let me know. It is to amend ordinance number 5439. These are all talking about 5439 Economic Development Fund concerning Commissioner Bowman's and Commissioner Williams' motion to allocate $1.5 million to Caddo Common. Out of this, $700,000 will be paid from the oil and gas. The remaining part will be paid from the Economic Development Fund, with the specific understanding that these funds will not be allocated until such time as Caddo Common Board has been able to match the $1.5 million. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Have no further, we do have discussion on this motion? We can have discussion on this motion or no?
No, you call the question.
Point of order, number 8, a motion is called for the question on the original motion will not be able to accept until every commissioner has had at least one opportunity to speak or ask questions.
Okay.
Did everybody get to either ask or get a chance to speak?
Everybody,
I did.
Matthew and Mike Thibodeau.
Mike spoke.
Mike spoke.
But Matthew didn't have anything.
Not on this motion.
Hang on one second.
Matthew laying in the
Hang
cut.
on. Commissioner Land, do you have any questions?
I'm very happy with the call for the question.
Sure lie. Let's move.
Come on, our pizza's getting cold.
Okay. All right, so we're voting on this amendment at this time.
Yes.
Please vote. Can we discuss this amendment?
It's your meeting. Why don't you let legal sit down?
Yes, you can discuss this amendment
Let's
until you
vote.
call for a question on it.
We voted on that. That was
Come on, John, let's vote.
You voted?
That's what my,
Please vote.
This is on the Caddo Common.
This is on the Caddo Common Amendment. Oh, I meant to vote no. I voted wrong. I voted no.
You voted wrong,
I voted no.
so it should be yes?
it's yes on there.
I voted no. Says yes.
So it's 6-6.
Fail. Let's go.
Fails.
5-6.
It wouldn't have mattered.
It fails anyway. Okay, so the next one is Commissioner Lynch's motion, seconded by Commissioner Williams, for $20,000 to bid fund. Please vote. And that fails 5-6. Okay. The next motion is Commissioner Johnson's motion, and we're going to do that, and since it's 2 phases, we'll do 2 motions. Is that okay?
Only with one motion per thing, I believe so.
Okay. Commissioner, the first one is to reduce the biomed by $500,000. Please vote.
Come on, son.
Okay, that motion fails. The next one is to fund MLK CDC $15,000. Please vote. And that passes 7-4. The next one is Commissioner Cox's motion, seconded by Commissioner Williams, to fund COAB for $50,000. Please vote. And that passes 9-2. The next one is to fund Stan Lewis Rock and Roll Festival for $65,000. That was by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Bowman. Please vote. Commissioner Lynn.
I thought I already voted, excuse me.
You trying to vote twice. And that passes 7-4. Take 7, correct? Okay, the next one is Commissioner Escaday and Williams' original motions. We'll take these separate. This is $50,000 to the Shreveport Bossier Business Alliance. Please vote.
What was voting on?
This was $50,000 for the Shreveport Business Alliance. And that passes 8-3. The next one is to fund Biomed $326,880. Please vote.
Digital media.
Digital media. That passes 7-4. And the last one is to fund Southern for $300,000. Please vote.
Is that for the new program?
That's for
Yes.
the, and
No
the
discussion.
aerospace technology.
Yes. And that passes 11-0. And now the next one is to adopt the original motion, or excuse me, the original ordinance, the Economic Development 5439. This is also made by Commissioner Escaday and seconded by Commissioner Williams with amendments that have been agreed upon. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Okay, the next item, we're going to move on.
He said bathroom break.
Okay. No, we're going to keep going.
No, he's gonna keep going.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
if there isn't any discussion on the remaining ordinances, I'd like to englobe all them.
Got a motion by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Williams to englobe ordinance number 5440, the Law Officer Witness Fund, 5441, the Reserve Trust Fund, 5442, Shreve Memorial Library Fund, 5443, the Debt Service Fund, 5444, the Library Fund, 5445, Capital Improvement Fund, 5446, Capital Improvement Fund, 5447, Group Insurance Fund, and 5448, General Insurance Fund. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I do have Commissioner Commissioner Johnson has one question.
Erica, what's the difference between the two capital improvement funds? You have one and then two.
It's funding. You got general obligation bonds from one, and you had some limited tax revenue bonds for the other. You have to keep the money separate.
Okay, thank you.
Please vote.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Bowman, Commissioner Cox, Commissioner Thibodeau.
Whatever you want to do, Joe.
That passes 11-0. At this time, I would just simply say thank y'all for working together to get our budget passed. I know that this is a very important thing for all of us.
Let's pray for
And,
Smith. I think his wife is in the hospital.
Commissioner Smith's wife in the hospital. Okay, we need to be sure to pray for him. I was wondering where he was at. Thank y'all. We'll see y'all Thursday at 3:30. Adjourned.
Everybody got this? You have to get that done.
That was trying to make sure.